Hello, I'm Dan Miller, Historical Solutions LLC. Welcome to a special edition of Pro Football, the NFL, and America 250. We are on the verge of the divisional round playoff weekend. I'm shooting this on a Friday, coming to you on a Friday, sipping my coffee on a Friday with a special set of just a few minutes for you. I'm doing this in honor of Colin Cowherd. He's a highly regarded, highly popular podcaster for sports. Does a lot of things on the NFL. That's where I've run into him, and that's where I pay attention to him, is in his NFL work, which is fabulous. He's been talking about a phrase: schemes, a scheme guy and a culture guy. He's referencing all of these openings in the head coaching ranks in the NFL. There were, I think, 8 up to 9 at one point. We're down to 8 with the hiring of John Harbaugh at the New York Giants. But Cowherd talks about you're either a scheme guy as a head coach, meaning you love the X's and O's, the play design, the play dynamics, and all of that, play calling, or you're a culture guy, which is someone who values the relationships more than anything else. And you spend time thinking about and working on the team's mood, its atmosphere, its dynamics, more than the X's and O's. You're one or the other. You're a scheme guy or you're a culture guy. This extends into your leadership too, doesn't it? I mean, you're a leader if you have one or more followers. Do you spend your time thinking about and working on how things get done? That's a scheme guy. Or do you spend your time on the relationships with and among your followers? That's a culture guy. So it extends to your leadership too. Let's extend this to head coach George Washington, head coach of the Continentals. That's the Continental Army outside of Boston 250 years ago today, surrounding the redcoats pinned up inside of Boston. I call them the Continentals, and I call him the head coach rather than the general. And I call the Continental Congress in Philadelphia the front office. And I call all the people in all of their homes who support the colonial and American cause, I call them the owners, like the Green Bay Packers. They're community owned. Let's focus on head coach George Washington. And scheme guy, culture guy, which is he? We can make the case for either. Let's do it quickly. He's a scheme guy in that he's all about going straight at the enemy, fast, hard, as often as possible. That's how you win. That's how you win, straight at him. I don't know if that would make him a run-pass option type of X's and O's, or a vertical passing X's and O's, or even just a running game first X's and O's. Whatever it would be, he's a scheme guy in that way. Interestingly enough, he's got his own kind of scheme, just like I just referenced a minute ago. A scheme guy will have his own favored or preferred approach to offensive plays or to defensive plays. Washington's grown up with, in his assistant coach years as in the French and Indian War, he's grown up with frontier warfare, with Native American warfare, irregular guerrilla warfare. Values speed and shock and surprise and suddenness, with a strong measure of meanness, honestly, and to some degree brutality thrown in. That's the world in which he grew up in as an assistant coach back as a colonel in the French and Indian War. That's what he brings to his mentality of being a scheme guy outside of Boston. Now, do you realize, and I know you do, there aren't a lot of woods outside of Boston in terms of that. There's not a lot of frontier warfare at this point in the history of Boston. That was 150 years ago when that was prominent in that area. So Washington's preferred, or his background as a scheme guy, doesn't necessarily fit here. So he's trying to adapt and learn how to siege, learn how to conduct regular warfare as a scheme guy. But he could be a culture guy, and really he is a culture guy. That's the task that he knows. I've got to have the right culture among my team, the team I've got, the team I'm coaching, because I have to have them treat each other the right way. I have to make sure our officers are treating them the right way. And I have to make sure all of our soldiers and officers treat the people in the right way. So the public, the civilians, the community in the right way. That's culture. That's all culture up and down. So, in a very strong sense, he's got both things inside of him here. He's a culture guy and he's a scheme guy. So I guess a question for the Colin Cowards of the world and all of us NFL folks, owners, coaches, players, and fans, is how many coaches are there that have both inside of themselves and really can't tilt it one way or the other? They've got to do both. That's an interesting question. Can you be that kind of a person? I want to throw out one thing, and I'll get out of your way. There's actually a third word for Washington here too. And it's just kind of started to surface for him. And I wonder if it's something that we could think about from the NFL's, from football's perspective, and also from your own leadership's perspective. I'm a scheme guy, or I'm a culture guy, or maybe I'm what Washington's starting to sense that he is. He's a cause guy. C-A-U-S-E, cause guy. And it's more than culture, and certainly more than scheme. It's the cause that both the culture and the scheme feed into. So what Washington's going to discover, it's already starting to happen to him, is that for the rest of his life, he's going to be a cause guy. His cause is self-government, American self-government. There's a lot of flaws in it. He's not perfect, far from it. But that's the cause that he's now wrapping himself inside of. And he'll be acting on the coach as cause for the rest of his life, literally down to the day he dies. He's grappling with the cause. By the way, when I say that, the day he dies, he had just rewritten his will, added a component, I think is it codicil, is that the right word? Added a codicil to his will. Upon my death, all of the people who I have enslaved myself will be made free, and they'll have a training and education fund that they can draw from to help learn a skill, get educated, and so on. Doesn't do it for his wives, he does it for his own. That's in his will that he rewrites right before he dies. That's cause. So, we've got scheme guys, we've got culture guys, we've got guys who maybe have to be kind of both, but then we have this third, a cause guy. What's the cause that all of this is trying to serve and all of this is trying to make real? What is the cause? I'm Dr. Dan Miller. I hope you really enjoy this coming weekend of the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.